I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where I break down all the goals scored in the Premier League, even though it's about a week late. Busy man at the moment, unfortunately. Got me a hat on. You can always tell when I've just got out of the shower because I've got my hat on. Now, I'm going to do some breakdown here for Forest. I've been looking, I was asked by Forest Fan TV, a couple of boys over there, to have a look at what's really gone wrong with Forest and do a deep dive on the technical analysis side of it. And I've done that. That's half the reason why I've got no time. I spent a long time trolling over all of the mistakes and what Forest did right last season and they're doing wrong this season. Okay. And it's one of these things where fans do this. Everyone does this. Oh, it's the manager's fault, right? Well, why is it the manager's fault? You can't say something like it's the manager's fault without knowing all of the problems of why it's the manager's fault. And the reason behind that is because if you replace that manager and put a new one in without understanding all of the problems, you don't know whether or not the new manager is going to fix those problems because you haven't identified the problems in the first place. Was it the manager? Is it the manager? Or what has changed? So to know those changes and know the actual fundamental things of that's what's going wrong with a football team before you just start pulling the plug and saying it's the manager or it's the players, like what's actually changed. Because until you know what's actually changed, all you're just saying is just noise. And changing the manager doesn't necessarily mean you're going to change the problems on the field. These are the problems on the field. Okay, I'm going to give you a small synopsis now, and then in the international break, I'm actually going to go through in much more detail because I've got percentages, I've got first ball, second balls, dead ball, loads of stuff to talk about for Nottingham Forest to try to explain what's happened to this football team because they're actually going through. It's funny because before I was looking at Forest, I was looking at Liverpool, and they're going through a couple of similar sort of traits. Not all the same, but there's some similar traits there. Let me give you an example of one of them. Is Forest's defence isn't set in shape in transition. So what does that mean? Set in shape? It's just coach's nonsense. Now you've got to understand, like one of the best things that I do is being a coach and a technical analysis and all that other nonsense is cut out the coaching garfunkel because they want to try to make it sound more technical or more complicated than it is. So then people can't understand it properly because they sound smart. They're using big buzzy words. No, it's simple. Basically, what it really means is the defense is going too early when they don't have controlled possession. Right. So let's just break that down. When you're in transition and you're attacking the other team, if the left and right back have already gone and you're not in control possession, at the moment you don't have that ball and you turn the ball over, everybody's out of shape. You've got to wait a little bit until you've got controlled possession of the ball before you can bomb forward. If you are bombing forward and you're a team that's conceding goals, that means your shape's not quite right, the discipline's not right, and your left and your right backs are going forward. You're putting lots and lots of extra space in and behind your team. Forest are doing it, so is Liverpool at the moment. I'm sure there's another clubs out there. When I start looking at them, I'll find that they're doing a similar thing. But Forest have got a lot of things wrong, and this is one of them right here. Just watch this tackle. That's meant to be a tackle, and it's not. That's one of the fundamental differences with Forest this season and last season. He would have won that last season. All 50-50s were in Forest's favour last season, not this season. There's a lot more that they're not doing this season as well. Like they might win the first ball, but the second, there's loads of stuff. But I'll save that for a further breakdown. Now, this doesn't go to a goal, but this goes in a shot on goal. I hate the fact that I'm starting to know players' names. Sales and goal does a good save, but that there is indicative to what's going on throughout the Forest. And this is only in the second minute of the game. You win that ball. You're in centre midfield right there on the halfway line. You win that ball and you're off. Doesn't. Huge problem. And if you think that's the manager's fault, got news for you. It's not. So I'm going to highlight one of these areas here because this is straight from where that bad tackle that he didn't win and the ball goes straight out wide. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. The space. Look at that space. What does that mean? That means the midfielders have all gone and there's no control possession. There's no protection for the back four at all whatsoever. Right now, you're looking for a midfielder because, first off, people talking about the pivot and all that nonsense. It's in a certain style of play when you have a pivot, when you're trying to create space. Basically, you're talking about a defensive midfielder. Stop using buzzwords because people heard the pivot and the double pivot, which isn't a thing. You can't double pivot something. If you have two nails and you stick it into a board, the board doesn't pivot. If you have one nail in the board, you can spin the board around and it'll pivot around the one nail. Stick two pivots in, you can't It doesn't work. You've only got one ball. You've got one board. You can pivot one thing. You can't put two things in and pivot it. The nonsense people say. It becomes mainstream as well. Everyone starts to double pivot. It's not a thing. But this space is, and you can see there's space in behind here. That's where he ends up going to get his shot off. He can't come over and cover what he can, but if he does, he basically opens up the whole of the middle of the field. So that's the simple thing, is the amount of space that's left because players have just gone too early. That wasn't there last year. There wasn't that amount of space. They weren't rushing to get forward. They weren't rushing to get into the attack until they actually had control possession. Not in this case. And you can see when he pulls the trigger, that space that was in between those two, he just ran into that big space that was in midfield. These midfielders can't even get anywhere near him. He just basically gets to run into the inside and have a little pop shot. No one can get close to him. Okay, I've got so many problems with this as a goal. First of all, how is this not a foul on the keeper? I don't know. You can't extend your arm through a player. I'm sure you can put your arms up and put a frame, but when you start leaning into the other player, it's a foul. The fact this isn't called out on VAR to me is amazing. He's pushing the goalkeeper off the field. I'm not a fan for having, if you touch a goalkeeper, it's a free kick nonsense. But at some point, when you start shoving the goalkeeper, it's a foul, people. Look, you can't do that. Look. See, his arm is fully extended. You can't fully extend and push the goalkeeper out of the way. Now, first off, one of these players should have come and taken the player off the goalkeeper. Now, there's this other problem as well, right? And this needs to be addressed. Poor refereeing decisions doesn't take away from your poor gameplay. So, yeah, this is probably, in my opinion, that's a foul all day long. I don't even think the corner should be a corner. I think it comes off a player. I'm going to show you that in a second as well. But what happens is when you're down, you focus on the wrong things. The referee, it should have been a foul. Yeah, you're right. But what also should happen is this player here should have come over and got rid of him and got the keeper off him and got the keeper back doing the keeper job instead of the keeper getting into a fight. That you can fix. Can't fix the referee. When you're trying to make things better in football from a coaching point of view or a player point of view, you have to fix things that you can fix. Not what the left back's doing, not what the right back's doing, not what the referee's doing, what you're doing. Because that's the only thing you've got control over. You've only got control over you, so you need to get over there and help your goalkeeper and get him back. Shocking goal to concede. Shocking. Team should have done better. Shouldn't have been a goal. But none of that matters because guess what? Refs are awful in the Premier League. This is the point as well, which really gets me, right? So we're looking at clear and obvious errors in the Premier League. This is a clear and obvious error. It should have been a goal kick. And they gave it as a corner. Shouldn't have been a corner. It's a clear and obvious error. No, we don't worry about that because the rules only count sometimes because it's the Premier League and we don't really care. Let's just move this forward a bit. Boom. Smack. You can see it hits Bournemouth player and it ends up going out. Look, you can see it's gone. You can see the spin on the ball because it hits contact with somebody else. And away you go. We used to do this thing in coaching, right? We wouldn't even have to look at what players were. We could just tell, and so can probably most fans as well, right? Just because of the spin on the ball and the way it's going, because of physics of who touched the ball last. You don't need an instant replay. You just see where the ball's ended up and the spin on it. Oh, yeah, it had to have hit him. Because if he's hitting it, the only way that spin can come off is if it ricochets off the player and goes away. Well, it's obvious. Obvious. Explain to me why VAR doesn't look at that back. I'll be intrigued to know in the comments below. Just one more point about this shove as well, though. Why this shouldn't have been a goal. Categorically, it's 100%. It's not a maybe. Excuse me. When the keeper jumps is when he shoves him. Watch. As he goes, there's the shove when the keeper's jumping. Stops the keeper from actually probably trying to punch the ball away. If he doesn't get that shove in, he gets the ball. It's obstruction. He's not trying to win the ball. He's trying to push the keeper. The ball's not there yet. You can't be trying to win the ball if the ball's not there yet. I mean, it's amazing that these people get paid money to referee these games. It really is. So, yeah, this is absolutely shocking. Two players fighting over the ball. Both of them can't win a tackle and they lose the ball. Now, remember the sort of the details we're looking for. Has the left and right backs gone up too early? Has the midfield left to back four exposed? That's sort of components we're looking for here because that's something they didn't do wrong last year at all. Nottingham Forest, there's a bunch of other things they did better last season on, first balls and corners and throwing like older stuff, but I will save that for another video. Here, completely and utterly getting each other's way. And now you've got to ask yourself, Is the rest of the team, they didn't have controlled possession. There's 1, 2, 3 players in a line here. Do we have the same problem when there's a massive gap here and there's nobody in it? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So I was explaining this on my live stream on Monday night before it crashed for some reason and I couldn't get it back. When you're losing football games, your job isn't to go and win a football game. It sounds ridiculous. It's not. Your job is not to concede a goal. Your job is to make sure you plug all the gaps and you don't concede a goal. And you knock it up front. You say, go on, lads, see what you can do with it. We're back here. We're defending. We ain't conceding today. That's what you need to do. And you need to slowly start making sure you're really, really, really difficult to beat. You can't be difficult to beat with a gap that big like that. You've got to do one or two things. These guys don't go. These guys identify the danger and they step forward and they take that space up. So one of these can step in and win that ball and keep him offside. Now, here's the problem with that, though. For the back forward to step up and do that, that means these guys have got confidence. It means they're not worried about conceding a goal because they're confident. They're not confident. They are worried about conceding a goal. So they are dropping back. This here, though, honestly, it's a yellow card all day long. All day long. Even if the guy goes and scores, it's still a yellow card because this is a professional foul. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's doing the right thing. He's been completely caught. He knows he's been caught. He knows he's in trouble. So what's he doing? He just rugby tackles the guy to the ground. Good job, mate. Good job. That's exactly what you want somebody to do in that situation. But here's the problem. Like that back line. Do you see them drop off again? Look where he is. If he was where he was supposed to be, if playing on the front foot, he would have won that ball bump. The ref would have given a yellow card and a free kick, and that's what would have happened. Instead, he just backs off and backs off and backs off. Let's keep watching that. That's where the point where the Bournemouth player picked up the ball. Ref does a good job, says play on. Off you go, lads. Good job, ref. You've done something right. One thing today, you let them play on. Of course, from a Forest point of view, you'd want that to be a free kick. Letting it play on. Look at how far back he is now. He was just there a second ago where he could have stepped in and won the ball. Okay? What else would have that done? Because you're so high up, right? That would have given him time to go in, make a mistake, and good old number 5, Johnny 5, who's just running away from the ball, to come in and cover for him, and he could have got back and recovered because he's got so much time because they're up this far of the field. Now, he's in utter no man's land. Okay? He needs to step and close this ball down pretty quickly, but not close it down. So what do you mean? Right, you can't run towards the player because he'll skip round you. You need to drift back slowly and stop that gap so you can pressure the ball. You don't want to run back fast. You just want to close this gap so you can get close to the ball to make him make a decision. You want to make him make a pass, try to go around you, but you don't get beat. So all you're trying to do is keep that space as close as possible so you can block the pass or the shot. You do not let that space keep growing. I do want to show you this as well because this is the fundamental reason why he gets it all wrong. This is how important body shape is. Okay, you ready? That's his shoulders and he's facing the ball. Watch what he does. Watch his movement. Right? Watch his movement. There. That's it. Lost. Okay? The reason he's lost is because what he needs to do now, the only way that he can have a body shape like that is if he goes this way. Right? That's the only way. That means he keeps the player in front of him. You can see the player is not. The player is almost behind him. He's changed his. He's opened up his back for exposure completely for the attacker to go towards the back of him, which is going to make him turn. All right. That's what happens as we move it. Bump, bump, bump. Do you see? Look, you cannot do that. He is in line with the player. If he is facing this way, he needs to be there to keep that player in front of him. So he's making that player run in front of him and then he can tackle him. He cannot be in line with him like that because the player is just going to go behind him. And as he goes behind him, he's going to have to turn. Now, by the way, if you're good, you've done that on purpose. And there's a different way of turning, right? So if you're facing this way, you can turn by turning your head towards the goal and running towards the goal. Or you can turn with so think of your shoulders, right shoulder or left shoulder. If he turns with his left shoulder, he does a complete circle. If he does a complete circle, he loses time and momentum, right? If he just turns to that shoulder and runs that way, he doesn't. Let's see which one he does. Oh, this is the point where the defender starts attacking the back of him because he hasn't closed the ball down properly, right? You can see that. Dump goes the right way, but also the wrong way. Do you know why? Because he's not close enough. That turn has opened up space for this guy to shoot. Do we see that? Because he's had to turn away, he's actually given him more space to shoot the ball into the net box, which he does. Bosh. And in it goes. All over, just poor defending, poor decision making. Like, he's not close enough to make that challenge. He's not close enough to make that turn. All of it is wrong. All of it. A lot of that is down to confidence, though. A lot of that is down to losing games. A lot of that is down to questioning yourself on the football field. As soon as you start questioning and thinking, you're going to lose. Yeah. Well, there's lots more to talk about, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.